Hello, welcome to another video, and today I'm just going to be quickly discussing a Baker's cyst injury in the knee, and what you should be doing about it, and possibly also what not to do. Okay, so firstly, what is a Baker's cyst? Well, basically it's like a big build-up of fluid right behind the back, right at the back of the knee, sort of causes like a big bulge. Looks like a little golf ball that's sitting at the back of your knee. And then it makes the knee extremely stiff, and obviously a bit painful. So now, to the treatment of just trying to drain the fluid out of the knee, which I hear all the time, which is why I'm doing this video, because it's come across this quite a few times lately, is really sort of not going to do anything at all. It's really stupid, is what I was going to say, because it's not really addressing the reason that it's there. There's a reason the fluid is there, and it's usually, if I show you in this example here of movements like what of this sort of falling inward of the knee, or it's collapsing, or this pigeon toe feeling where that'd be like where you're creating like a meniscus sort of problem. You're crushing cartilage on the outside of the knee, and creating the ITB friction beforehand that. But yeah, you're just really destroying everything around the knee because of the way you move. All right, so if I go back to the first one, this one would be your ACL tear, and again you're going to destroy cartilage and everything that's supporting the knee, the structure of the knee around there. So the fluid is a necessary stiffness to prevent any further destruction of the knee from these bad movements. All right, so what you need to do is change these bad movements. Now, when the stiffness is in there at the beginning, and there's another example, it's too difficult to do that straight away. You're going to have to do other things first, all right, and trying to get control of this knee so it's in an alignment like that. All right, so we see this alignment here doesn't damage anything. No need for fluid, all right, no need to stiffen the knee up. I don't need the body to do any artificial stiffening because everything's aligned. I'm not going to destroy cartilage. I'm not going to wear a meniscus out or tear an ACL. I'm not going to do any of those things. So the Baker's cyst is like a last resort of the body to try and to protect the knee. Now, what do you do if you can't do that straight away to correct the source because the problem's there in the beginning? Well, as I'm showing here, this is like a basic calf stretch, really. It usually gives a bit of relief. You can feel that because the tension, basically the knee gets locked in flexion because it's so stiff. So you're not really just stretching the calf here. You're really trying to drain the fluid out, try and get the extension back, because you'll have limited extension as well as limited flexion. The flexion will be a much bigger problem. So you sort of start with the extension first. So that'd be one way I might do it. I might get on the floor, or it could be on a massage table even, but usually on the floor, and I just can use like floorboards are really good for this, so it doesn't work too good on this rubber mat, but I've got like a little sliding disc, and I just can slide my leg. This is where I'm sort of coming into flexion, which will often be where it's more painful. So the person usually will struggle to get past, to get the full flexion. They should be able to get this full extension first. And now there's other ways I might do that. There's videos I've done before on that. And the flexion here, this is where, again, you can see that might be the limit I can get to. Like, I don't have a knee problem at the moment, but ideally I should be able to get my foot right there, but that'll be near impossible if that golf ball's at the back of the knee there and it's stiffening it up to protect it from this, because it doesn't want you to flex it because you're not controlling the alignment. That's the whole reason that the fluid's there in the first place. So firstly, you're just working on getting this extension so you can get the knee to fully straighten, all right, which should give a bit of temporary relief. It does feel quite good when you're doing that. I've had a Baker's cyst a few times from various things that happened, and I was able to get rid of it just from moving well. So I didn't need to get it drained or anything like that, which if you have had that done, which I have, it was extremely painful, and it all just come back within half a day. All right, so that'd be the first lot of stuff that I'd work on, and then so now I'll be working into trying to start strengthening it instead of just stretching it. So This is where I bring in my Romanian deadlift movement, all right, so which I use this so much for back pain, hip pain, and in this case for knee pain, because it's really effective at getting the hips to do the work, which is the whole reason the knee's stuffed in the first place. All right, now again, this will be very relieving on the knee, because as opposed to the calf stretch that we were doing a minute ago where we were kind of draining it down in that direction, now we're actually getting the hip by pulling it up. All right, so all of this starts to get freed up to some extent. This hasn't fixed it, but most importantly, I'm getting my hip to start working correctly, which will eventually control the alignment. This exercise is nowhere near enough. It's just getting the relief of the pain at the back and getting me to use my hips correctly and not hang on by my quads, because it's usually they're a big part of the problem. All right, so I'll start with my Romanian deadlift first, and then I'll work into some of the other ones that will do that follow on from this, that are going to do a much better job at controlling the alignment. So let's have a look at those. Okay, so now we've basically relieved from knee extension and got some hip movement going with the Romanian deadlift. This next exercise is what I'm showing here. This would be near impossible, but this is actually what you want to get to. This is, as things start to improve, you want to kind of test this position to see if you can get that full knee flexion. All right, so like I was saying, it would be near impossible when there's that golf ball still there, but when it's starting to go away, you want to be able to get this full flexion without the golf ball coming back, without all that fluid building up at the back of the knee. That's telling you that you've got control over flexion, which means that you can start to get into more of the true strengthening things that will hold everything in place, because so far we haven't really addressed the alignment enough to really make any significant change. We might have relieved the fluid and helped it reduce even from resting a little bit, but the minute you start moving the way you were, it's all going to come back. So that's when I'll start, on the floor will be the simplest place to begin, and then working with my single leg hip extension. So it's very much glutes and hamstrings. Very simple exercise, really looking for, that full extension here where the glutes are really on the job. If a cramp happens in the hamstring, you're very weak in the glutes. All right, now from an alignment perspective, this is very easy to control because the feet aren't involved in this really all that much. And the floor is giving me a ton of stability, but it can prepare me for the ones that I really want to do. So, I could even probably add a band where I'm pulling out if I wanted to try and sort of encourage that, which I've done before on other videos, but just to give you an idea of what you're looking for. So you don't want any deviations falling inward. Again, because there's so many things removed, it's unlikely, but it's a good place to begin. All right, so then it gets you familiar with moving with the single leg, because that's really where all the answers are going to be found. So once you go from the floor to standing, obviously there's a lot of other exercises I might use depending on the person, but just for this video, just to give you an idea of how I might sort of gradually progress things so that I can get to the root of the problem, which is that single leg stance. All right, so I could use something where I can hold on to, and I can basically lower myself down into that single leg deadlift position. Now, the beauty of me holding on is that, again, I'm taking out the stability problems where I could be moving too much sideways, because it's always the sideways things that are going to cause trouble. So in this, by me holding onto the bar here, I eliminate all these sideways movements, all right, especially through the knee here. But the best part is I'm getting my glute to work. I've got the alignment, even though I'm cheating on it. It's okay because I'm getting familiar. I'm building some basic strength and understanding of the movement so that I can progress to the one I really want. All right, so this would be one way that I might progress forward. All right, so there's many, like I said before, this video would go forever if I showed you all the variations that I might explore, but just to give you an idea of how I go from the floor to standing to the one I really want, which is this one. All right, so this would be your Bulgarian deadlift or single leg deadlift. And again, I'm trying to control that knee alignment like that we saw at the beginning where it was all over the place. So I'm trying to make sure that as I'm using my hips to come back, my feet and hip are working together to control this perfect alignment. All right, and that's what I'm looking to do. If I do that, no more swelling, no more swelling required unless I do crazy things. Excessive flexion of the knee, again, that will cause heaps of trouble. But you can see here I'm showing good demonstration of how that would look in a single leg stance. All right, so this is really what you want to get to with this Baker cyst. Forget about trying to cortisones and all this sort of stuff. The really root problem is that single leg stance is not being controlled. So when you're walking, you're always, so you can see here me walking now, as my foot leaves the ground, I have to get in a single leg stance. So right there, so that right foot isn't going to go in the air. So that left foot, so that right foot has to control that. So walking on its own is enough to stir things up if you're not moving well. And that's what you've got to change. All right, so again, there's a lot of things that you probably need to add onto this, but just in a simplistic overview of what's going on, it'll give you clues as to what we really need to search and what you need to look for, and then it doesn't come back, because you don't want it to keep coming back. All right, so check the description under the video, because there's links to articles that give you all the other exercises I may use, and a bit more expanded information. This is just a quick overview to the person who's trying to find out why they can't get rid of it. All right. Anyway, I hope you enjoy that video, and we'll see you next time.